This is the CrowdCrux Crowdfunding Podcast with Sal Brigman, where we cover everything you need to know to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign. We speak with proven entrepreneurs who've raised money from the crowd and want to teach you how to do the same. Stay tuned because we're about to reveal how to launch your dream project. With your host, Sal Brigman.
Before we get started with this podcast episode, I want to take a second to introduce you to my friends at Fulfillrite. If you need help shipping out your Kickstarter or Indiegogo perks or rewards, Fulfillrite is the absolute best company for you. I've been working with them for a while and I can vouch for their services. They make it dead simple and take all of the headache out of shipping out all of those boxes, all of those orders to your backers and your customers. If you want to check them out, go to fulfillrite.com at FULFILLRITE.com. Hey crowdfunders, Salvador Brigman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. On this podcast, we get into how to successfully raise money with crowdfunding, as well as covering other types of crowdfunding like raising money for a nonprofit, raising money for real estate crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding, you name it. My goal here is to share with you proven techniques that work to actually get funding to these projects which are live on Kickstarter, as well as cover a bunch of different types of products that are out there. For example, today's product is actually more of a fitness gadget or a gizmo. It's for Backmate, the easiest way to target and relieve or alleviate back pain. My goal with this show, number one, is to share with you what's working right now when it comes to crowdfunding, as well as to kind of get into the heads, if you will, of the entrepreneurs or the creative types out there and to understand what it is that they're doing right, and also how they would have a better time if they were to try and relaunch a project. I want to give you, my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula. The whole goal with that book, with the course, and also with this show is to basically share with you a step-by-step proven blueprint where you can just follow this thing and you will be far more successful than had you not listened to this show or had you not looked at my YouTube channel or read my blog or anything like that. That is my ultimate goal here, and we do that by trying to get into the stories of these incredible individuals who come on here, and I think it also is quite inspiring to see someone who has raised six figures out of nowhere. Today's entrepreneur also speaks to the fact that Kickstarter has changed over time. He kind of shares a little bit of the differences over the years of how Kickstarter has progressed, as well as crowdfunding. So I think you're going to like today's episode, particularly if you're interested in learning about what's working right now in a fitness product, but also how to attract more than 1,000 backers and raise over six figures with a successful crowdfunding campaign. Now, before we get into this episode, the quick thing I want to say is that if you're new and you want to learn the ins and outs of how crowdfunding and Kickstarter works, the entire launch process that goes into this campaign, I have a great resource for you called the Kickstarter Launch Formula. I have this available on Audible for you. So you can go to Audible and you can download a copy of the Kickstarter Launch Formula. And also, if you're interested, you can actually get a free 30-day free trial of Audible. And along with that, you'll get a free copy of the Kickstarter Launch Formula. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's a wham-bammy no-brainer, as I like to say. All you got to do is go to crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. That link, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. Great place to start. And also, I read it with my pizzazz and my passion that I do with all of my types of podcasts that I put out there. This is an audiobook that's easy to listen to in the car, on the subway, whatever it is you're doing. You can tune into this thing and you will literally be downloading some of these strategies into your head. It's a very easy way to get up to speed with how Kickstarter works and also what is effective for an effective Kickstarter launch strategy, essentially. The other quick link is that if you're interested in booking me for a one-on-one individual coaching session where we will review your project, it will last an hour long. We'll get into your strategy as well as some of the things you maybe need to work on, some feedback of your existing campaign, answer any kind of questions you have, as well as introduce you to any people that might be able to help you. You can really access my network and the resources that might be available for your project, as well as if you're interested in having me help with you in some way, we can also discuss some of my services on that call. But the link for that call, if you want to schedule a coaching session today, the link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. That is crowdcrux.com/coaching. Crowdcrux.com/coaching will take you to that form. Just enter a little bit of information, give me a little bit of information about who you are, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, how much you're trying to raise, and we can get that squared away. Without further ado, let's get into today's podcast episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we are speaking with an entrepreneur who is a six-figure crowdfunder, has raised more than $130,000 for Backmate, the easiest way to target and alleviate back pain. This is something that I also suffer from sitting so long every single day. So I'm really excited to learn more about the product. Dustin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Do you think you could tell the audience a little bit about what Backmate is and how it works?
Yeah, sure. So the Backmate is a simple product that allows you to massage anywhere in your body, but particularly your back and your neck, areas that are really difficult to massage yourself. And as we all know, if you have a partner at home and you've got a kink in your neck or your back and you're like, hey, I've got this spot that's really bugging me. Can you get this spot for me? You get a good 30 seconds out of them before they tire out and they're done. So although that's not really the main reason that we designed the device, it kind of explains what it does. The reason that Eric and I, my co-founder, designed the Backmate was that both of us had really traumatic spine injuries. And through our research and searching for ways for solutions to get relief from our back pain, we kind of both went through this struggle, which is like going to surgeons, going to physical therapists, and really finding out that there's not a lot of great solutions out there, that really you kind of just have to take control yourself of your pain and take responsibility for it. And one of the big parts of that is exercise and self-massage on a regular basis. And in order to really do that on a daily basis, you need to be able to do it at home in a really quick and easy way and effective way. And so that's how we came up with the Backmate.
So the thing that's different is that you can actually set this up in any doorway. And I'm sure you can also use it in a few different other environments there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Exactly, yeah. So the Backmate sets up in any doorway. It works in any doorway from 24 to 36 inches and pretty much any kind of molding. So it'll pretty much work in any home doorway that you have. And you can set it up high, so you can massage your back. You can kind of set it up midway in the doorway, or set it up high to massage your neck, set it up midway to massage your back, or you can set it up lower in your doorway to massage your legs. And it takes about 2 seconds to just set it up. You put it in your doorway, expand the thing across, and just click the handle and lock it in, and takes about just as long to take it down. So it's really a quick and easy way to get a really deep tissue massage. And kind of one of the keys of the Backmate is that you can actually relax the actual muscles that you're massaging yourself. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the self-massage devices out there, you end up tensing the muscles that you're trying to massage yourself. Like if you're using a hook or even a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball sort of up against the wall or on the floor, you're not relaxed. You're kind of tensing up and trying to get into these awkward positions, whereas the Backmate really allows you to just lean into these balls really in a simple and really effective way and really relax the actual muscles that you're trying to massage, which, as we all know, is a key to getting a good massage. You've got to be able to, not tense those muscles, relax them so that you can get in there real deep and get a real good massage.
Yeah, totally. I also think, it's obviously if you have injuries and such that it can be really helpful. You get really stiff, but even just for me, sitting all day, I totally noticed my back pain just deteriorating over time. And even just I got a massage this past weekend and it was $60, which is actually a really good price for a deep tissue massage, but I can't do that every single day, And it's ideally I would have someone come here and massage me every day, but you just can't practically do that. So it sounds like this is could be something where in the middle of the day, you can just pull this thing out and you can sort of do a self massage there and it feels a lot better.
Exactly. Yeah, and you nailed it. I mean, this product certainly doesn't replace massage therapists. I mean, going in for a 60-minute massage therapy session with a qualified massage therapist is really something that you can't replicate with anything else. But this product is kind of there to fill in the gaps in between when you do have the time and the money to go to a massage therapist. And it's something that you can just do every day, multiple times a day. And like you said, just in between sessions on your computer. And we say, it really only takes about 2 minutes a day to really take advantage a lot of the benefits of massage. And it really is the case. You don't have to really go to town on an area for 30 or 60 minutes. You can just kind of get in there for a couple minutes, massage the exact area that's really bugging you and get some immediate relief. And if you do that consistently, it really has a big impact on your overall pain in that area, or really in any area of your body.
So you had suffered from, spinal pain and back pain yourself. Have you created a product before? Is this sort of the first business or product that you've created?
Yeah, so this isn't my first product I've ever created, but it is in this space. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time now. I've done some service-based businesses, and I've also done some product-based businesses. I did a crowdfunding campaign actually back in 2015 for a company called Fogo. That's an outdoor device that combines a flashlight, a walkie-talkie, and a GPS together. We did a Kickstarter campaign and turned that into a company that's currently selling products online. So Kickstarter was a really pivotal and successful way for us to get into that market. But Backmate is the first time I've been in this kind of health and fitness area, and it really is a big passion of mine because, like I said, I had this traumatic spine injury, and I really feel passionate about helping other people kind of get to the point that I've gotten to over years and years of really realizing what it really takes to get actual relief without resorting to extreme measures like surgery or drugs.
When it came to the first campaign you ran in 2015, that then enabled you to set up an online store and sort of a business. Can you talk a bit about like the before and after there? Because I mean, I know obviously Kickstarter has changed a lot since then, but can you talk a little bit about what was the aftermath of that project?
For sure, yeah, and we can talk a lot about the differences between 2015 and 2019, which 4 years is a good amount of time, but man, the changes of the platform are really crazy. They're even more than I thought they'd be. But to answer your question, the process of how that works is, there's a lot of lead up pre-campaign work into getting into Kickstarter, and kind of the bar gets raised more and more every year as far as like what you do need to do for pre-campaign stuff, and also what you need to do to how far you need to develop your product before like Kickstarter. And so for Fogo, we had the product developed. We had made a couple rounds of prototypes, but we hadn't really finished the software and we hadn't really gotten into production. So, we still had quite a bit of development to do. So we ran the Kickstarter campaign, and then we had to finish the development and then move into production. And it took us, it's a really complicated product because it had a lot
functionality
between software, hardware, electronics, mechanical design. There was a lot to it, so it took us longer to develop it than we thought. So we finally did get everything finished. We got into production. We delivered the product to our Kickstarter backers, and then we moved into online sales on our website. We set up a Shopify website and started selling them online, and then through also some small partner retail stores as well throughout the country, really, and in some international outlets as well. And then working with some outlets too, like Touch of Modern and some smaller like online distributors. And then the goal with that, Fogo's it's been a little bit longer of a haul with Fogo, but the goal then is to kind of move from crowdfunding into online sales to Amazon and then into retail. So that's kind of the roadmap, and that'll be the same roadmap that we follow for Backmate.
Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome, man, that you've been having a lot of different experience, like the service-based businesses and these different products. It's really hard to get a product to market, so kudos for that.
Thanks.
When it comes to those changes that you mentioned from 2015 till now, could you share one or two of those with the audience?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. One of the big changes that happened is PR. PR has just gotten a lot harder. Back in 2015, I should say it wasn't easy, but it was a lot easier than it is now to get journalists to write up about a Kickstarter project, because journalists, right after we ran our project for Fogo in 2015, a lot of backers got burned basically by projects that didn't deliver. And now journalists are starting to look at Kickstarter as like more of like a really nascent stage of a product's in development, and they don't really want to write up about it because it kind of puts them a little bit liable for like spreading the word about a product that might end up burning a bunch of people by not delivering. So PR is really reluctant to write about products. They still will, and if it's a really good product and it looks like they're really going to deliver and they have a lot of confidence in the founders, they'll write up about it. But a lot of times, and this is what we've seen with Backmate, is they'll see the product, they'll be like, oh man, this looks great, we're really interested in it. Contact us after crowdfunding. Contact us when you guys are actually selling this product and we'll work with you, but not on Kickstarter. So that's one of the things that's really changed is PR. And another, the kind of like what I was saying before, the bar has been raised. So obviously, like, every year people put more and more energy into Kickstarter campaigns. So what backers are expecting out of campaigns just goes up every, year, as far as like the quality of the video that needs to be done, the quality of the page and the graphics, how far along the product needs to be. Backers are now expecting, products to be delivered within a month or we are on Backmate. We've done a lot of work to get the production really ready. We've got the production line ready to roll. And we're pretty confident we can deliver it in a few months. And that's our delivery date. But we've actually had a lot of backers say, hey, man, is there any way you guys can do this sooner? Like, we want it now, or we want it in a month from now. So, like I said, the game has really been raised. And just across the board also, campaigns are now putting a lot of money into marketing and into work into the campaign. And backers are just kind of expecting that. Mm-hmm. And then, so there's that. And then finally, I could talk all day about this, but one more point that I wanted to bring up is just that there definitely seems to be less backers on the Kickstarter platform or discovering projects on the Kickstarter platform. And I've actually heard from backers that where they used to go in and use the discovery tools inside of Kickstarter, they kind of like just wait for projects to come to them now. Like, they're serial Kickstarter backers, but they're not really on the platform like looking for and exploring projects. They're just waiting to see an ad or waiting to see PR or waiting to get an email to hear about a new product. So whereas before you kind of had people discovering organically your product, we're seeing a lot less of that now. Like, pretty much every backer that we've gotten, we've reached out to in some way or another.
When you talk about reaching out to those backers, do you mean that you've like run an ad to them or something like that, or what?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's either through ads, live campaign ads, or pre-campaign ads, or being featured in a newsletter, or being featured in some sort of PR.
Interesting. I think it's just also a symptom that as you mature as a Kickstarter backer, I mean, some people have backed hundreds of projects. That you just also don't have the time all the time. Like you have so many things going on in your day. And if something really captures your attention, in your email inbox or on Facebook, then you're like, oh, wow, this is really cool, I'm going to back it. But sometimes you also just go through life and it's like, I just don't have the time to look through all these new launches, So I think there is also like that change as well that happens. Another big change, I think, is also with email marketing. Email marketing was kind of like the holy grail back in 2012, 2013 when I was getting started. That's kind of changed a little bit. I'm sure you also noticed that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's been one of my huge frustrations actually with this campaign, is that email marketing just hasn't worked as well as we had hoped. We did a lot of work up front with pre-campaign marketing, running ads and trying to build up a big list. And we did have and do have a really big list of emails. And we'd actually done a lot of work. We'd done some giveaways. We'd done ads. We actually sold a couple products that were kind of similar to the product that we're selling now with Backmate, to build up this big email list and even a list of customers. And the problem is when we send out news or emails to this list, we get really low open rates and much lower than we got before. And then obviously, really low backer rates from those emails, low click rates, and then low conversion rates, because a lot of the emails are just going straight into spam. And I think it's, spam filtering has gotten a lot better. And also just people, I think, people use email differently now. I know that I don't use email like this, but I have a lot of friends that like just have these email addresses, and they kind of they don't even really monitor their email on a regular basis. They kind of just like scan it every once in a while to see like if there's anything in their inbox that they're really interested in. And they just have this huge list in their inbox of like, hundreds of thousands or millions of unopened emails. So it's been a difficult deal. Email marketing is not what it once was, like you said.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to other things like Instagram, that's also changed a lot. What are your thoughts? Did that contribute at all to your campaign, having an Instagram and building a bit of a following there?
Yeah, for sure. We put a lot of effort into social media, particularly Instagram, but also into Facebook. My partner Eric has been pretty heavily active on Instagram. He was before we started Backmate, and he's put a lot of energy into building up our Backmate following. And so we do a lot of work on there. But I will say that, when you look at the returns and the back that have actually come from Instagram, it's still pretty low. I mean, overall, by far the most effective thing that we've done is ads.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things too, where it's kind of like, you obviously can't neglect it. Like, you have to have a multi-pronged approach, but you also have to be aware that probably for your project, one approach is going to be a lot better ROI than other ones. Have some people who really have used Facebook Messenger bots pretty effectively and other people who haven't used them effectively. So it seems like there's a lot of, difference there from project to project as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, I think every project is different, and you've got to try out a bunch of different ways and find out what's most effective for your product and your campaign. And then there's a lot of ways to waste time that just don't work. Mm-hmm. And some ways do work, and that's where you have to put all your energy into.
I had to interrupt this podcast episode because I want to introduce you to my friends at The Gadget Flow. Their product discovery platform reaches 22 million people per month. They've helped more than 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns thus far, and they have a social media following of more than 700,000 followers. If you want to gain access to their marketplace and list your own product, you can go to thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today. As an entrepreneur, I'm sure you sort of know a lot about the customer discovery process. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that and sort of discovering how people interact with the product, what they think about it. What have you learned about your customers, in this journey?
Yeah, for sure. That shows that you've got some good experience with crowdfunding. One of the biggest benefits that I'd say from crowdfunding is getting really close interaction with your first real customers. And a lot of people would use the term early adopters, but I wouldn't even call Kickstarter backers early adopters. They're even before early adopters. They're like innovators or something like that. But basically, a lot of the motivation behind Kickstarter backers is that they want to be a part of a product, from the very early stage. They want to be able to say that, they were part of developing and helping get off the ground the next iPhone or whatever, right? That's kind of a big part of their motivation. And so what you get on Kickstarter is you get these really motivated group of customers that are really interested in your product and want to give you a lot of feedback. And so, you don't get this kind of feedback anywhere else. I've seen this now on other products that I've worked on, even customers that, you sell products to on your website, which is a pretty close way to sell products to customers. Everything else gets further and further away from you. Like when you're Amazon, and retail is the worst. You have no contact with customers in retail. But Kickstarter, you have this direct line of communication with them through comments, through messages, and later on through emails. And they'll really reach out to you. You can ask them to talk to you and get them and survey them, which they will respond really well, but they'll even reach out to you and give you suggestions or recommendations for your product, and in both ways too, in a very honest and constructive way. They want to see you succeed, so they're going to tell you the truth about your product, which is difficult to get from obviously friends and family. Before you launch your product on crowdfunding, you try to show your product to as many people as you can, but most people you come across already, they like you and they have an interest in seeing you succeed, and they want to see you succeed. So they're viewing your product through this lens of this filtered, rosy colored lens of they want to see the product good. Mm-hmm. So they have a really hard time of seeing the negative in a product. Whereas on Kickstarter, it's they don't know you, but they do want to see the product succeed. But they'll tell you the brutal honesty. They'll tell you exactly, hey man, if this thing stinks for these reasons, this is what you need to do. Or you need to start from scratch and do this all over again. They'll just tell you that. So that's a really great part of crowdfunding.
I think it's one of these things where, you have people in your life who they have a relationship with you, and it's almost in their best interest not to tell you something that's going to upset you. And it's difficult because like if they're like, yeah, this product sucks, that's going to hurt the relationship, and that's going to make you feel not so great. And like they want to encourage you, they want to tell you, no, this is great, this is awesome, like I totally buy it. And then you launch the thing and no one buys it. It's like you have to distinguish the fact that when people are, are your friend or you're part of your family, they might be acting from those kinds of emotions versus, am I actually interested in buying this thing?
Yeah,
I think that'd be difficult.
So true.
One of the questions I had for you here was, you went from having this service-based business to then working on products. What is it that you like more about the product-based business than what you were doing previously?
Yeah, so, there's obviously a lot of big differences and a lot of advantages and disadvantages to both. But I'd say that, the biggest advantage and the reason that I wanted to get into products is that it's scalable. When you're working in a service-based business, it's really driven by you and your skill set and who you are. And sure, you can hire people to work for you and do the work that you do, but ultimately they're not going to be as good at it as you are. And you're always going to have to put your time in to keep that business going and building it. And ultimately, like your real customers that really like you as a service business, they like you and they want to work with you, not employees that you sell. So basically, a service-based business, not that it can never get out of this. Some people really succeed with this at scaling service-based businesses, but for the most part, they really are you selling your time, and you only have so much time to sell. So you kind of like run up against a ceiling there pretty fast. Whereas a product-based business, if you build a great product, you can scale that to as many people, as are interested in buying your product. And as long as you make a great product and you service your customers well, it's the kind of, the sky's the limit. There is no ceiling to how many you can sell. Obviously there's disadvantages too, in a service-based business, you can kind of like start making money right away. It's like, you can start, if you're good at something, you can find a customer, start selling your time and making money right away. Versus a product-based business, it's like, you got to develop that product. You've got to get into production, and then you've got to get out and find customers. You've got to stock up inventory and then sell that product. And like, the timeline from starting a product-based business and actually making money is a lot longer than it is for a service-based business. I mean, in some cases, years before you actually start making money, versus a service-based business, you might, you start getting revenue right away, and then you might get into profitability even in a few months.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot to be said with combining the two, because like looking at your campaign, you have an $1,000 pledge tier, and that includes obviously the core product, but it also has a bit more like service related stuff, like a one-on-one motorcycle skills coaching session, or like dinner, or these different things. So like it's kind of like you're packaging it for the higher tiers. I'm actually really curious, how is it you were able to get 7 backers at this upper tier? Do you have any thoughts on that or advice?
Yeah, I would recommend that everybody who's running a crowdfunding campaign do a really high level tier like that. Just because there will be a few backers. So maybe they're just friends and family, or wealthy friends and family that really want to support you. But there's always somebody that's interested in kind of getting to the next level and really supporting you in a really heavy way like that. But, to answer your question, to find a tier that, will work like that is really, you really just got to think about it. What kind of, skills, what kind of expertise that you have that kind of nobody else has, that some few people would be really interested in. And particularly for us, fortunately, my co-founder, Eric, has a really motivated fan base that really love him and would love to have some motorcycle skills training from him. So that's really been that was a successful thing that we did. But I've seen other backers do it where they sell an upper tier like that to their customers to show them about the product development process, because obviously they know a lot about product development or Kickstarter or something like that. And you'll have a few backers out there who are also looking into becoming a creator later and might be interested in getting that really high level of expertise or intricate level of expertise from you, but would be willing to pay for a high level tier like that.
Hmm. Looking at your product now, I mean, it does so many things. Like it alleviates tension in your muscles. It helps you with mobility. Helps you even like reduce, I mentioned anxiety and these different things. What's sort of the vision here for the company now? Because you've had so much experience. Like, what's the vision for this particular product in the company?
Yeah, so our vision for Backmate is really to focus on natural solutions for pain relief. Like I was saying before, Eric and I have these stories and these long histories of traumatic spine injury, and a lot that we've learned from there. And one of the things that we've learned is that you really can find true relief through natural means, but you have to take ownership of your recovery. And so we want to offer, the vision of Backmate is to offer both products and solutions and education to help people get there, to help people get to the point where they can find natural, simple, and effective solutions for pain relief. So we'll be launching products like Backmate. We've got actually a couple of other products in the pipeline that we're really excited about too, that kind of fall along the same idea. And then also doing some educational stuff through on our blog and also through videos and content information that people can look at to find really good exercises and ways to get natural pain relief.
I also think it's something that you got to attack as soon as possible. Like the longer you let something like that go, the worse it gets over time. And then of course you're going and you're then trying to get surgery and it's not even successful most of the times. It's you're putting yourself in such a risky situation at that point when you could have addressed the problem earlier, possibly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the big things that you have to realize when you injure yourself like that is that movement is the key to recovery. You know, doing something about it actively is the key. And the further you get into the hole, like you said, the worse the pain gets, the harder it is to do the movement, and then you end up in this horrible cycle.
It even gets so bad, I think, that like you have difficulty sleeping. It's hard to relax properly. It feels like you're old. It feels like your body is old, you know?
Yeah, and it's all a vicious cycle. You know, once you get into that cycle of not being able to move, not being able to sleep, not being able to take care of yourself, the injuries just get worse and they cause, all that stuff to happen worse, and you just end up spiraling down.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome, and I think it's good that you have this vision, and it seems like you're pretty passionate about it. And I mean, you guys have been pretty successful. Nearly 10 times what it is you were trying to raise. It looks like. That's insane. So congratulations on your success. Where can people go to learn a little bit more about Backmate? And it looks like you're also live here for another 61 hours.
Yeah. So, the best thing right now is to check out our live Kickstarter campaign page. I think that you'll have a link to that on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, anybody can find us just on our website at mybackmate.com, or send us an email or message at info@mybackmate.com, and we'll get back to you right away.
My final question for you is, speaking to an entrepreneur or a creative type in the audience who is just now starting with their first project or their first real endeavor when it comes to crowdfunding, is there something that you would pass on in the way of something you wish you knew? It could be a word of encouragement, a bit of advice, anything. We can end on that note.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say start off building a community right away. Whoever it is, one person at a time, start building that community, because that community will be the community that goes on to support you in your crowdfunding and then beyond crowdfunding and whatever you do.
Well said. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, sharing all these great tips, and looking forward to some of the new projects that you have coming up.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.
Let me tell you about our latest sponsor, SendPro Online by Pitney Bowes. Shipping can be complex. Things can get really confusing really fast. With SendPro Online, it's easy to save time and money no matter what you send, from letters and packages to overnights and flats. You can easily compare USPS, UPS, and FedEx in an all-in-one online tool. You can print shipping labels and stamps directly from your printer. You can even track all of your shipments and get email notifications when they've arrived. SendPro Online is only $14.99 a month, and listeners can get a free 30-day trial when you visit pb.com/crowdcrux. That's pb.com/crowdcrux. Experience the convenience of SendPro Online for yourself when you sign up for a free 30-day trial. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. If you didn't catch it, my name is Salvador Brigman. I've been running this podcast since 2015 with more than 200 interviews, tons of incredible guests. So I urge you, go and make use of all this hard work that we've put in. Listen to some of the other episodes that I got out there on the interwebs, on iTunes, on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you want to listen to a podcast, on Stitcher. You can listen to it all. I have a lot of people who love listening to this show when they're in the car, specifically when they're commuting to work. It's kind of like an easy way to make use of 30 minutes or 40 minutes if you have a spare amount of time. And in addition, I think that it's really great to be able to kind of be listening and kind of learning passively. Like this is so important that you surround yourself with successful people. You want to always be glimpsing success. You always want to be learning about the different types of products and different types of stories that are doing well with crowdfunding. And I think just hearing the fact that an entrepreneur can go from nothing to having 10 employees to having a business which is selling things online and do that all from their successful Kickstarter, that's freaking inspiring, man. And I also think it really levels up what you think is possible. Like once you start getting around people that are doing really well and that are your age, that are no different from you, that come from a similar background or don't have very much resources whatsoever. We have people also on this show who are from different areas around the world that aren't like entrepreneurial hubs. They're pretty much in the middle of nowhere. To be able to learn and sort of experience that, it kind of lets you see like there's really nothing that's holding you back. The only thing that's holding you back is yourself. And this is kind of a difficult thing, I think, to really get over is some of those inner beliefs. You know what I mean? Like you just don't feel 100% confident maybe in yourself, or it's scary to have to launch a product. It's really intimidating and difficult. And all too often, I think business owners, they kind of don't know where to turn, and they also there isn't any good education out there. Like you can't just go and take a class, if you will, in university or in college on crowdfunding. And if you do, it's probably not very good. The problem I think out there is lack of good education and also lack of good hand-holding. That's what I found to be the case when I got started as an entrepreneur. And also in the crowdfunding space, no one else was putting out content before I was. So I was starting with my blog in 2012. I progressed to the podcast. Now I do a YouTube channel, have books out there like the Kickstarter Launch Formula, other types of books. And my goal has always been to try to make this easier for you and also to make you feel more welcome, to make you feel like there actually is a community out there when it comes to crowdfunding, like the kickstarterforum.org, that forum which I started. We also have crowdfunding forum. My goal has been to make you feel welcome, to give you the assets and the education and the tools to succeed and to improve your success rates. And finally, to surround you with other people, like-minded people who are absolutely crushing it with their crowdfunding campaign. And it's not just like they have a really great mission, which they do, but they're also very financially successful. And that was my whole idea and goal with starting this show. One of the ways that I try to help you in a little bit larger sense is with my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, which on Audible, you can grab a copy and get a free 30-day trial of Audible. Also get you a free copy of the Kickstarter Launch Formula, which you can pick up at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. That is CROWDCRUX.com/Kickstarter audio. Crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. That link takes you to Audible. So that's a really great place to start. In addition, if you're ready to level up the game, like you're ready to take this to the next level, I have spent so much time learning about how this process works. I've spent so much time working with other entrepreneurs and witnessing their successes and failures that I have a really good idea of when a product is a good fit for Kickstarter and also what people are missing with their strategy. Just like learn from my example. Like I've obviously spent a lot of time accumulating this knowledge, and it would be amazing if I could just pass this on to you and specifically apply this to your product and your campaign. So if you're interested in that, in talking seriously about your upcoming launch, getting into the things that you're doing right and things you maybe need to work on in an intensive hour-long coaching call that also has homework and action items and these different things, you can go to this link and schedule a one-on-one call with me today. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Just go to that link. Let me know a little bit about you, what your ambitions are, what you're looking to raise, and we can hopefully hook you up also with some really great resources, and maybe even I can help you in some way with the project. So I can tell you a little bit about the ways that I can help with your Kickstarter campaign launch. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode. You got a lot out of it. It would mean so much to me if you leave a positive review on iTunes, just so I can see that we're doing well and we're answering your questions. If you got more, feel free to reach out to me. But my name is Sal, and I will see you next time.